Thank you for joining us for our first segment of In Focus. Our intent for this new show is to help spread awareness of various issues that affect our island community, as well as to recognize the people behind the scenes who are making a difference. As April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, we wanted to speak to those who have made it their life's goal to put an end to this crime on Guam. We start our story with Monique Baza. In the early morning hours of October 5th, 2012, Monique visited a local bakery to purchase bread for her family. When she returned to her vehicle, the unthinkable happened. A man appeared from her back seat and forced her to drive to a secluded area. During the next couple of hours, Monique was punched in the face, bound, raped, and endured what many of us would describe as a living nightmare.
After all of the fear of not knowing what Raymond Camacho, if he had anything or, what he was going to do, my fear turned into anger, and then, just trying to figure out what I needed to do in order for me to get away and escape. Because there was a point where throughout the course of the time that he had me, I already had figured that he didn't have anything, and then the only other time that I was actually scared was when he had found my school scissors in my school bag and cut my seatbelt. So at that point, again, I felt the fear had come back, because I was like, wait, now I know he does have something that he can hurt me with. And so, but basically just trying to focus on what I needed to do in order for me to remain calm and figure out how I can outsmart him, I think is the word. I wanted to basically comply whatever it was he was telling me to say, or he wanted me to say, or what I thought he wanted me to say, and whatever it is he wanted me to do. I would just do it because it would help me get a better idea that if I can make him think he's in control, then I'm in control. So, but basically just focusing on how I can get back to my kids and my husband.
Monique and her high school sweetheart have been married for a decade, and together they are raising 3 sons. Would you say is that your family? Have they been the driving force ever since then?
Definitely. I think that if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have been as vocal and as strong as I've been, because I don't want to have had a chance to do something to put this guy away, or whatever it is that I can do to help make him go to jail for a long time, so that he doesn't have to hurt anybody. I don't have to worry about him hurting anybody. I mean, if he's out there on the streets, he's a really dangerous guy. He had many, prior offenses and stuff. So my main goal was to make it safe for them, is to get him out and put him in a place where he needed to be confined for a long time.
Monique speaks openly to her children about what happened to her on that horrific morning.
We do share with them. I mean, they are aware that, mom was in a situation. I was kidnapped. I mean, they know no details that would give them nightmares, but, at least little by little, trying to just open them up to knowing that, yes, something bad had happened to mom, but I'm still here, and part of the reason I'm still here was because I focused on them. And when they get older and they hear of the details, then the only thing that I want them to see is that I never changed. It never changed me. And that, what, my mom can, if she can overcome that, then shoot, I can overcome anything.
So throughout the community, a lot of people say that you've remained so positive and you've become an inspiration. How has someone who has been through what you've gone through and still at the end still remain so positive?
Well,
see, I mean, you're laughing right now.
Well, I've mentioned to people, it's it wouldn't be fair for me to have to let what had happened to me change who I am, because I worked hard to be the person that I am, to my family, to my friends, to my kids, you know, to my husband. And it's gonna be unfair for me. It'll be unfair for them if I have to change it and let what happened to me make me depressed or make me this totally whole other person. You know, it's just I wouldn't even know how to begin to do that, because it seems like a lot of work. I might as well go with what I know. You know? This is what I know, so, you know.
That's good advice for anything.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's okay. I mean, it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. It happened, and it's all right. It's just one moment in my life, but I don't let that determine or, you know, or define whatever it is that I have planned for me and my family and the things that we do.
Monique and other survivors have now become advocates in hopes of uniting the community and finally putting an end to this crime.
When are we going to take our communities back? When are we going to demand change? And how do we encourage victims to come forward and not be ashamed of their stories or not be embarrassed of it? Because come on, you don't ask for these things to happen. And that's the biggest thing for me when I'm out there and I'm talking with people in the community. I didn't ask for this to happen. Why should I feel embarrassed? I don't feel embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed. For what? The more I'm embarrassed, the more I enable this person to continue that behavior. The more I keep quiet, the more I continue to enable this person to continue that behavior. So why am I going to give him that luxury? For him to go out and hurt more people? No. If I can put him and make sure that I've done everything that I can to put him in a place where he's no longer going to hurt somebody, then okay, I've done my job. But I'm just one person. I can't be out there doing it for other survivors. First of all, for me, definitely, you have to stop thinking of yourself about it as a victim. I hate that word, because I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. I survived it. I'm still here to sit down and talk to you about it. And I'm not embarrassed to tell anybody about it. So what? I was sexually assaulted and I was kidnapped. So what? But that doesn't change who I am. I'm not going to change that for my kids who know me as mom. I'm not going to change it for my husband who knows me as his wife, my parents, my siblings, my friends. No. But why I don't, and that's the problem, is that perpetrators, they bank on the embarrassment and making you feel low and making you feel like you've done something wrong and making you feel guilty. They bank on that because why? It drives for them to continue to harm people. That makes it, oh, well, if she didn't report it, then guess what? I'm fine. I'm not going to get caught.
Adriana Rios and Gwen Belandres, who are both survivors and now victim advocates with the Guam Police Department, also believe that it will take all who call Guam home to become involved in order to make a difference.
We all have to take part in this. We all have to do something to try to stop this, where Guam no longer has sexual assault or family violence, especially in our future. And if we all get together and we're all more aware and we all speak up, it'll just disintegrate. And I know that for a fact. I know it will.
No matter what kind of case, family violence or sexual assault, it takes a lot. But, you know,
We get the job done.
like you said, you know, like you asked us before, what motivates us is we don't want that to happen again. We want that to stop as quickly as possible. If it's starting to show hints of it, this is where we talk about community, talk about family. You recognize these symptoms, or not symptoms, excuse me, I used to work in a dental office. You recognize these risk factors. Once you're aware of it, you do start seeing it. And are you gonna just be like, oh, I think so-and-so? Or are you gonna be like, come here, let's talk. How are you doing? How, you know? And you can't help but you start asking certain questions that now you're aware of, the kind of questions to look for, kind of signs to look for rather. And when you think, then you can approach somebody else who might have more knowledge, who you might have gotten that knowledge from, and say, I'm not sure, but you know, she's exhibiting these type of signs and this and that.
The Guam Police Department is currently undergoing an organizational change that will enhance current support services to victims. GPD's Domestic Assault Response Team, commonly referred to as DART, will include investigators, first responders, victim advocates, and counselors, to name a few.
The concept of the DART statute is to address domestic violence, family violence from a whole or totalistic point of view, and not just the old traditional police point of view where we investigate a crime, we identify the subject, we apprehend a subject, and we bring it before the court. What a lot of studies and history has shown is that the victim was not being addressed in things like this. And you got to remember that domestic violence, family violence, is very, very similar to criminal sexual assaults. A lot of the criminal sexual assaults that we have on Guam, otherwise known as rape in some jurisdictions or in words, is family related. So the way we address domestic violence, family violence, is the same approach we wanted to use with sexual assault cases. So we made a push with the chief's office, and with the approval and the help with the chief of police, Fred Badayo, and the police commander, Colonel Maurice Sayama, we were able to identify some police officers that we could take from other units and bring them over to the victim's assistance unit. And by doing that, we created the DART, the Domestic Assault Response Team. Because what that allows us to do is address family violence issues and criminal sexual assault issues with the domestic assault investigators working with the victim's assistance advocates together on domestic violence, family violence, and criminal sexual assault cases, so that we're not leaving behind the victim. We're not just addressing the crime and the suspect. Now, as a group, they can identify what help or assistance the victim needs with our advocates, and with the help with our partners like Vero, Oasis, Healing Hearts, iHome. We're able to give them sources, resources, services to empower them to try to get away from all of that. So the great thing about our unit is we're able to really get down and look at, you know, these cases. And the philosophy up in the DART unit is victim first. Let's address the victim. Let's address the victim's needs.
Can we talk a little bit, go back a little bit about family, because you brought that up a couple of times, though. And a lot of people will, you know, may think it's like, you know, ironic or, hey, what's happening to our culture, like a little bit like what you said, because, you know, our island culture is about respecting others. It's about anaphemalic. It's about having hospitality and treating others right. Yet when you read the news, you hear about rape cases like Monique Baza. You hear about home invasions like the Nimitz Hill case, for example. So it seems like our community is kind of going a different path. And why do you think that, from a Guam Police Department perspective?
Is it getting worse, or is it just now being sensationalized because it's in the media more? That's a question you need to ask.
That's a great question.
One. There's always going to be crime. That's why there's police departments. Is it getting worse? Crime is crime. Victimization, the occurrence of the incidences, probably are the same, generally, not specifically. I wouldn't say that family culture and race are the reason for the increased amount of crime, but I think family culture and religion can help adjust the attitudes to prevent crime.
There are several organizations on island that assist victims. One of those organizations is Victim Advocates Reaching Out. VARO's goal is to respond to victims of violent crimes and to elevate the stature of women and children who are most often victims of physical and sexual abuse.
It's any violent crime, but our main people that we deal with are family violence victims, sexual assault victims, stalking, dating violence,
Child abuse.
Yeah, child abuse. Those are or elder abuse. Yeah, those are the main ones that we deal with, and we respond to crises, and so we can give emotional support. We can give shelter for a short period of time. Again, it's because we're crisis responders, so it's just a short shelter, but during that time we can help them find somewhere safe to stay. We can give emergency meals, emergency clothing, you know, anything that they need really during that emergency period.
Another organization that provides support to victims is Healing Hearts, which is Guam's only rape crisis center. The center offers crisis intervention, advocacy, support referral services, community outreach, and clinical services.
What's unique about Healing Hearts is it's at the control. The patient has the control. So if they're not ready for something, we can just say, okay, let's talk about it and at least get them comfortable and build that rapport so we could at least link all the services together. And so with the medical examinations, we have two types. We have an acute examination where we'd have a rape kit and we collect evidence. We also have the non-acute examinations, and with those, we would are offered to our minors. So with that, and a majority of our patients are minors, so like 85%, I think was like the last stats that we had around that area, were all minors, so that's 17 and below. And just to see if there's maybe any risk for infection or if there's any residual trauma that's there, that's what we're looking for the non-acutes. With our acutes, of course, the benefit is you get to collect the evidence right away, and we get to take pictures. And if our patients don't want the pictures, then we won't take the pictures. So, I mean, they're really in control of the speed of how the exam goes and the services that they want. You have to have the strength to do it. And then also the support. So I'm very fortunate to have supportive boss and supportive coworkers, as well as the supportive family. And you really have to know your limits. I mean, it doesn't mean that we do this every day and it doesn't touch our heart, and when we don't cry, because we do. But it's really being in touch with yourself and your feelings and trying to have that balance.
It's not for everybody. We do this work. We've chosen to do this work for some reason, and we all come from different walks of life. We all come from different experiences, but something or another has led us here. So this is the work that we've chosen to do. It's the work that we're passionate about. And it does affect us. You're right. We hear the horror stories every day. And we have to work through it. And really, it comes down to taking care of ourselves. I think that's something that I advocate so strongly for, is that we need to know exactly what Anne said. We need to know our limits. When we're feeling overwhelmed, or when something's hitting just a little bit too close for home, then we have each other and we rely on each other. We have a really great supportive network here and with our families, to be able to just be honest, walk in the door and be like, that case I'm supposed to take today, honestly, like I'm not feeling it today. So then we can, rely on each other. And on the social work side, we're a little bit more advantaged because there's more of us that can go around. And with Anne's, she has herself, she has Dr. Bez, and then we do have the on-call. But for the most part, to continue to do this work, we just have to pace ourselves. We have to know what we're getting into. We have to kind of check it at the door. And then when we walk out, we have to know what it is we're going to do for ourselves, to take care of ourselves, so that we don't have to bring all the trauma home to our own families.
With all the people we met for this show, the consistent message each one of them emphasized was that prevention starts at home. Can you take us into your home? So you're obviously very passionate about this. You're very committed. It's obvious you're very committed to this. You have daughters who are young ladies. So what do you teach them?
Be a good person, do what's right. Think about other people. If you see something wrong, tell somebody, take action, or report it. Listen to mom and dad.
In January of this year, the criminal in Monique's case received a life sentence for rape and a 25-year sentence for kidnapping to be served concurrently. As Monique continues to advocate for the rights of victims, she told us that she lives each day knowing that she is a survivor. Let me put you in a room.
Okay.
And there are potential predators or predators that are still walking the streets. What would you say to them?
I beat you. I'm gonna beat you. If I'm a victim or a survivor that didn't come forward and I was in a room with my perpetrator, I'm gonna look at him straight in the face and I'm gonna tell him, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna come forward. There's nothing wrong with that. You did not do anything to hurt me but just that one moment. And that's all you're gonna get. That is all you're gonna get.